Good afternoon and welcome back to this session of Wilmington City Council's Finance and Economic Development Committee. We are in the midst of the seventh in a series of budget hearings. We just heard from the Department of Planning, and now we're going to hear from the Department of Public Works. My name is Bud Friel, and I'll be chairing the meeting this afternoon. Joining us from City Council is President Hanifa Shabazz, First District Council Member Linda Gray, Third District Council Member Sandy Oliver, Fourth District Council Member Michelle Harley, 7th District Council Member Chris Johnson, and Council Member at Large Rashima Dixon. We're also being joined by Chief of Staff in the Mayor's Office Tanny Washington and Chief of Staff of City Council Marshall Bass-Knight. As folks know, back in March, the Mayor presented his fiscal year 2021 operating budget. It becomes Council's responsibility to review that budget and to pass a balanced budget by the end of May. This budget was prepared and proposed prior to the COVID-19 crisis, so there will be additional cuts to the budget, and we will see a substitute budget by the time we vote at the end of May. There's also a good chance that Council will have to revisit the fiscal year 2021 budget once we understand all the impacts to our revenue lines. We've allotted 90 minutes for this hearing. We'd like you to keep all your questions to budgetary matters, any programmatic or constituent issues. We'd like you to address those in other forums. There will be time at the end of the hearing for public comment. You can raise your hand anytime during the meeting, and we will call you at the end for 3 minutes of public comment. We do ask that your comments pertain to the budget that we are discussing, and that would be Public Works. We're going to follow the same format. We're going to have a brief presentation by the Office of Management and Budget. We will then turn it over to the Commissioner of Public Works, Kelly Williams, for any opening comments, and then we will jump right into our question and answers. I did want to mention that we've been joined by the 5th District Council Member, Vash Turner. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the Office of Management and Budget.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Council President, and honorable members of City Council. I would like to present the Department of Public Works proposed operating budget for FY 2021. The budget details I'm presenting here are based on the original proposed budget, which was developed prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. Commissioner Kelly will be discussing revisions to some of the budget items during her presentation. The department proposed budget request, which includes the general and motor vehicle funds, is about $34.5 million. In the general fund, the department is requesting a total budget of $26.4 million, an increase of about $256,000, or 1% over the FY 2020 budget. Here are the various account groups that contributed to the general fund increase. In personal services, two split-funded General Labor 2 positions were added to support the increased workload in the street maintenance division at a cost of about $65,600. Regular salaries rose by $157,600, or 3%, due to a citywide 2% COLA, step increases for non-union classified employees, and annual review for executive and managerial employees. Pension contributions decreased by $90,000. Hospitalization increased by $101,000, reflecting an increase in family coverage elected by employees. MS&E in the general fund increased a total of $97,000 for FY 2021. The total increase consists of the following. Contracted maintenance increased almost $97,000 due to a high cost of maintenance to aging existing structures. Electricity costs decreased by $90,000, resulting from savings from green initiatives implemented over the past several years, such as conversion to LED traffic lights. Landfill fees decreased by $155,000 based on reduced tonnage trend. The recycling bank program account increased by $168,000 due to the implementation of the citywide municipal solid waste container and recycling program. Debt service decreased by a net $177,700, while existing debt service increased $892,000. This was more than offset by the projected savings from the refinancing of the older debt of $1.1 million. Moving on to the motor vehicle fund, the department is requesting $8 million for its FY 2021 budget, which represents an increase of $295,000 or 3.8% over the FY 2020 budget. The following contributed to the increase. Repairs to equipment increased by $85,000 due to the higher cost of repairs to fleet equipment caused by a minor accident, repairs to the police and fire rescue boats, and maintenance of older vehicles. Miscellaneous services increased by $59,600 due to increases in motor vehicle fleet maintenance. Automotive equipment decreased by a net $823,000. The expansion of the fleet in the police, LNI, and Parks and Recs department added $177,000. However, the annual vehicle replacement program was reduced by $1 million. This concludes my overview of the Department of Public Works General and Motor Vehicle Funds proposed budget. I will be glad to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, George. I just want to remind council members that the budget we're looking at today is for the operating budget and the motor vehicle fund. We will deal with the water sewer fund public works questions on Monday when we have the 6-year presentation. Okay, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our Commissioner of Public Works, Kelly Williams, for any kind of opening remarks she wants to make, talk about priorities, things like that. Kelly, are you with us? There they are. Turn your mic on. Turn your mic on.
You'd be muted.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Yes.
All right, great. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Williams. I'm the Commissioner of Public Works. You can go ahead and pull up the slide. Essentially, the mission of the Department of Public Works is to operate and maintain critical infrastructure and facilities, provide superior service for our customers, and promote environmental sustainability. Slide 6. There you go. As you all know, the department provides a wide array of services, including once-a-week recycling and residential solid waste collection, treatment and distribution of high-quality drinking water, collection and treatment of sewage, stormwater management, city sweeping of city streets, street paving, repairs, maintenance of traffic signals, line striping, snow removal, and maintenance of the city fleet and city properties. Next slide. Our vision, oh, here it is. Okay, our vision, in light of the current circumstances, is really just to continue to provide uninterrupted quality services given these uncertain times. The priorities for fiscal 2021 general fund include Beautiful City Initiative, keeping our city clean, reducing trash, increasing recycling, stopping illegal dumping, improving our sidewalks, repaving and repairing our streets, planting more trees and maintaining our gateways, and generally supporting the community's effort to help beautify the city. Our second big priority is to prepare for the I-95 viaduct reconstruction project. The city's part in that will be to upgrade 200 traffic signals, replace vital water infrastructure, repave streets that will be impacted, establish coordinated communications for the community, protect and promote the city constituent interests throughout the DELDOT project. And lastly, our third big priority for fiscal 2021 is comprehensive installation of LED street lighting throughout the city, including all Delmarva-owned streetlights and city-owned streetlights. Over 5,500 lights will be converted to LED in fiscal year 2021. Next slide. So the performance measures we use are pretty comprehensive. We collect more than 100 data points that are regularly analyzed, including street paving work by the city in 2-week periods, the total number of public works service actions broken down by group, public property, sanitation, sewer maintenance, street cleaning, street maintenance, transportation, trees, water, and engineering. We evaluate the city vehicle fleet performance. We look at the percent of public works service actions that are closed and the median number of days that it takes to close them. We look at specific service task totals broken down by task, including special pickups, catch basin block, dead animal removal, water leaks, sewer backups, potholes, trash mist, recycling mist, yard waste requests, illegal dumping, requests for new trash or recycle bins, and many, many more. Public Works also breaks down our service requests by councilmatic district. We evaluate the overtime usage by each division, and we evaluate the tonnage of trash and recycling collected every 2-week period. And these are just short, small examples of the data that we collect and analyze. That's all that I have for the department overall. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to our Deputy Commissioner, Vince Crowe.
Okay, and who is the other gentleman sitting with you?
Oh, this is our Administrative Services Director, Derek Akbar.
Okay, thank you. Did you want to just, I don't think you have to go through every line, but you have a slide here showing, I guess, potential COVID-19 cuts that were not part of the original budget. Is that what we're looking at?
That's correct. That's the, if you can put the next slide up, please. Yeah, there's a list here that we've identified through our meetings with the Chief of Staff throughout various divisions of the general fund that will result in elimination of $395,300 from the original proposed budget.
Okay. All right, we will go ahead and jump into the questions. Wait a minute, 1 second. We have a question from Council Member Oliver. Councilmember Oliver, are you with us?
Yes, thanks for that, Mr. Chair. I wanted to just get my question out the way. I was wondering, has there been any savings? I see the cuts, but has there been any savings in public works since the state has been paving most of our roads?
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right, so the roads that have been getting paved within the city for the most part have been the state maintained roads.
Right.
So while we are partnering with them, and it's good to be getting a lot of paving happening within the city, this is not work that we would have been looking to do anyway as part of our normal paving, because we don't typically program in the state maintained roads within the city.
No, I guess, I mean, I know sometimes y'all do assist with some sidewalks. So I was just, and I know they've done some sidewalks. I was just wondering, were there any savings because the state has really been doing the corners and a lot of sidewalks, that's all.
The state is doing state maintained roads. The city is still responsible for the city maintained roads. So the city is still funding the paving that's going on in some of the neighborhood streets.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
You're welcome. Discuss the budgetary account lines that could potentially be impacted as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic.
All right, so we have one line that we felt it was important to bring to your attention. The landfill fees are being significantly impacted by an increase of 28 to 42% in residential municipal solid waste tonnage. This each week we go by here for the last several weeks, we have ellipsed all previous records. So it's just everybody's probably cleaning out every closet and basement that they have, but the tonnages that have been coming that we've been collecting, and this is only from residential, MSW have dwarfed our previous max collection rate weeks. So I say that to say this, that there will be an impact in this current year, at least until this additional tonnage recedes. It will be an impact to the landfill fees because all this material that's being picked up is being taken to the landfill.
But Vince, in your list of potential cuts, I'm assuming this where it says rubbish collection, you're looking at cutting it by $150,000. Is that realistic if the amount of tonnage has gone up?
Well, based on even with the cut we talked about, based on the fees and the actual tonnages we've experienced over the last couple of years, we think we can live within that. If the rates, if the tonnages continue to stay 28 to 42% above what we've historically seen, no, absolutely not.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, we hear a lot today about first responders, and that takes in a lot bigger category than it used to in the past. And I would think that a number of our public works employees would be considered first responders in this crisis that we're dealing with. I just wanted to ask if you could give us a sense of how your personnel are doing and how the numbers have been impacted by the pandemic.
I see within a number of our general fund divisions, specifically sanitation division. I mean, they are, again, big increase in trash on the street to the tune of about 500 tons a week. So
I guess what I'm asking though is really more is, we've seen some of the press releases and things like that about some of the individuals being tested and things. I mean, how are they doing? And how are your overall numbers right now?
So, I mean, they're doing pretty well. We're definitely working on a reduced staff basis, but I'm pretty proud of the fact that we haven't had to reduce any of our services, right? So we missed 1 day of recycling in the last 6 weeks. Otherwise, all of the services have been the same, even though we're working on a skeleton crew. And the reason we're working on a skeleton crew is both because, some people may or may not have been quarantined, but also because of the COVID-19 childcare protection that we're allowing. So if the employees have a child at home that, because the schools are closed, then we've allowed them to stay home as well. So the numbers of employees that are coming in are way down, but like I said, we're very proud of the fact that we have not stopped or reduced services in almost any manner throughout this pandemic.
Well, I think we all want to express our appreciation to those employees because you're absolutely right. They have, with smaller numbers, they have continued to provide valuable service to all the residents here in the city. So I just want to thank them publicly from council. I also want to acknowledge that we've been joined by Councilmember Sam Guy. Okay. Can you discuss the current vacant positions, duration of vacancy, time frame for filling some of those positions?
Mr. Chairman, I will be going through the general fund and I'll be presenting the slides. For the sake of time, I'll read the question and then you will see the slide and you'll be able to look at it. And if you have any questions, then feel free to just ask the question. The question within the general fund was to discuss what you stated, the vacant positions, which is specific duration of the vacancy and the specific time frame of filling that position. If you move to the next slide, you'll actually see that we have 9 vacancies coming out of the general fund. And it also shows the date of the vacancy and actually the division. If you move to the next slide, slide 15, that is a total, and you will see we have the divisions, which is the admin division, transportation, street cleaning, and sanitation, and you can see what the data of the vacancy is as well.
Is the plan to fill all these positions, or will some of them be frozen until we get out of this current situation?
The plan is to fill the positions. The plan is to fill the positions, as you see what the status is. And right now with HR, you know, figuring out how they actually want to start interviewing folks, that has delayed us hiring some of those positions, hiring in some of those positions.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Next question.
Can you discuss any proposed changes to positions, new positions, deleted, upgrades, downgrades, etc.?
Yes, we also have that as well.
Next slide. There you go.
Okay, general fund, discuss any proposed changes to positions, new positions, deleted positions, upgrade, downgrade, title change, salary adjustments, and etc. The position changes consist of, and if you go, okay, you're on the correct slide, consistent service assistant. We would be eliminating that position. We would be eliminating the traffic technician 2 position, and we would be eliminating 2 general labor positions, which comes to a total of $237,713, which will be a saving. The position allocation changes, which we will be taking away from general fund and putting it in water, which would be construction inspection, which will be split within water, split funded 50-50, and we will move to 100% water and to the 100% water and sewer fund.
Okay. Discuss the planned use of approximately $1 million budgeted professional fees. And there's some sub questions to this one.
Okay, so if I can take your attention to the slide, the next slide.
No, that's just right.
No, next slide.
There you go.
Okay, the next slide. If you take a gander at our consultants, we have a total expenditure of $207,800. And you asked a question regarding any of them being DBE. None of those within the consultants are DBEs. And if you go to the professional fees, which is engineering, we have a total of $239,000. We do have 1 DBE, that is Tech International. When you go down to the next slide, I mean the next part of this is temporary agencies, and they are not a DBE neither, but we have a total of $582,000.
Okay, so we've covered, you've given us a list of vendor names, amount of contracts, expiration date. You talked about DBEs. Do you want to touch on the, I guess this is the 3rd slide with integrity staffing?
Slide, please.
Okay, In the next slide, you will see the amount that we pay hourly rate for the individuals that are presently working with us from the staffing agency.
Okay. Discuss the planned use of $460,000 in overtime.
Okay, in admin, we anticipate $10,000 for snow events and construction inspectors. For street maintenance, street repairs, and snow events, we anticipate $3.8 thousand, and then transportation for emergency repairs, knockdown street lights of outages, crosswalks, painting, and special projects, we anticipate $135,000. Next slide.
That's it.
That's this one here.
Yes.
Okay, street cleaning, $170,000 for snow events, leaf pickups, and cleanup of special events. Rubbish collection is $100,000 for snow events, household hazards, hazardous waste events, and trash requests. In regards to property maintenance, we have $42,000 for snow events, special events, and emergency call-in time.
Okay, discuss the 2.6 budgeted and other fees pertaining to landfill fees and recycling.
Next slide. Land fees. There will be $2 million for disposal of 27,400 tons at a cost of $73 per ton. Our recycle bank program is $600,000, and that would be for the lease agreement for a citywide MSW, which is municipal solid waste containers, and we are in year 2 of 5. Our planned replacement of 10% of the existing recycling containers is within the second year. Fiscal year 2018, we had the tonnage collected was 28,021, and our tipping fee was $70. For 2019, our tonnage collection fee was 26,369, and the tipping fee was $71.
Is that 2018 number, is that for a full year and 20, although both full years, okay, never mind.
Yes, for
Okay.
full year.
Yeah,
Correct.
thank you. Okay, discuss the approximate 1.7 budgeted and contracted maintenance account category, up 97,000 over last year.
We go to, okay. Repairs to equipment was $74.5 thousand, which was a HVC, plumbing repair of municipal complex, the winch inspection and repairs to a pallet jack, forklift, and paint striping machine. Repairs to building and structures was $147,000, and that was for garage doors. The garage doors down at the Turner building, for the salt, I think it was salt barn, right? The salt barn, security cameras and equipment, municipal electrical repairs, elevator repairs, guardian fence, allied lock, 11th and Thatcher traffic stop, containment area for brine and ice fight solution, installation of hot water heater in the Turner building. Repairs for us miscellaneous was $10,000 for the municipal complex and the mezzanine repairs. Repairs to road and appurtenances, $50,000. Miscellaneous street, curb, and sidewalk and brick crosswalk repairs. Building maintenance was $1.32 million, which was the CC building management and maintenance costs, which was also split with Newcastle County, 70%, 30%. Cameras for building a surveillance system, Newcastle County building cost for electricity, and Amarosa split was 70-30. Green space maintenance was $145,000. Contracts for maintenance of major gateway painting.
Planting.
I'm sorry, plantings.
Just touch on the Amoresco contract there, the last part of it.
Yep, which was, as you can see, is a 70% city and 30% was Newcastle County. And the improvements made to the city-county building as part of the Amoresco project have resulted in lower overall electricity costs.
All right. Councilmember Oliver.
Hey,
Councilmember.
yeah, I didn't have a question, but I was going to just wait to the end. I just wanted to make a statement. And when we make it now, or just want me to wait?
Well, let's just wait till the end then.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Discuss the planned use of $962,000 budgeted between the account categories of miscellaneous service, miscellaneous materials, supplies and parts, construction and repairs, and the equipment account groupings.
Okay, what we have for that, for miscellaneous services, if you take a look at the slide, but the total comes up to 381,600. Questions?
Does that take in, is that just the one slide?
Yes, we have another slide.
Several. There's several.
The next slide, miscellaneous supplies and parts, comes to $170,200.
Okay.
Questions? Traffic signal, next slide, if there's no questions. Traffic signs and signals came to 62,005. That was for miscellaneous LSD, reflective signs and signal heads. Roadway markings, $45,000. Pavement markings, including straight line striping and crosswalks, materials and supplies and roads, came to $267,000, and you can see what that includes.
One more.
Okay, next is furniture, fixtures, and office equipment, $4,800. And you can see what that includes. And our other non-capitalized equipment was $22,500. And you can see what that includes. Any questions?
Okay, discuss the $232,000 budgeted for rentals, considering only $17,000 has been expended this year.
Okay, in regards to rentals, it was $232,500, and that includes equipment rental and miscellaneous building maintenance equipment. Parking fees, $80,000. Rentals was Arrow Sanitation for special events was 1.6, and Keen Gas was 400. Rentals for mechanical equipment were not needed for this fiscal year due to the mild weather. Parking expenses for the city county building are made by journal entry and have not yet been entered. Now I'm going to turn it over to.
1 second. Councilmember Dixon, did you have a question?
Yes, I just had a quick question, Councilman Friel. So because we do have mild winters, is there an opportunity, does the money get shifted from that line, or do we just hold it if we have a mild winter?
Do you want me to answer that?
Okay,
Did you want me to answer that, Councilmember Dixon? Were you asking me that question? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Sorry,
Mic back.
I had two different mutes on. So I was just wondering, they can answer that. I was just wondering from the slide they had already said, because it was a mild winter that they didn't use. I was just wondering what happens to that funding if it's not used. Does it just stay in that line item, or does it get shifted to another maintenance line?
No, at the end of the year, any funds that haven't been expended hopefully creates a surplus for our overall budget, and that goes into our tax stabilization fund. So then we start the new year, fiscal year 21, as a new budget. Now, it could also mean that even though that budget line did well, especially this year, there's going to be other budget lines that are going to take a hit. And this year, we're going to end up, no doubt, with a deficit. So even though we're showing one budget line being over, in the end, as a city, we're going to have a pretty big deficit because of the COVID-19 crisis.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. All right. Discuss the 3.6 million budgeted for motor vehicle fleet replacement plan, providing new additions, deletions, or modifications to the city's fleet.
All right, so if you take a look at there's two slides, it's a somewhat long list, one easily on one. Essentially, this breaks down each of the vehicles in the FY21 replacement program that are up for replacement, along with their estimated replacement cost. As the Office Management budget previously indicated, this line is down approximately $1 million from last year. If you go to slide 39, which is on the screen now, the bottom, there are several vehicles that were added for fiscal 21 that will remain, I guess, still in question as to whether or not those will go through or not. We haven't had that conversation with the administration yet, but the budget is reflective of these vehicles.
Okay, so the first part, where we have anywhere from 2007 to 2013, those vehicles get replaced, and then that last group are brand new vehicles that we're going to add to the fleet.
That is correct. It's like seven new vehicles that were approved by the Chief of Staff.
Okay.
And if you go to slide 40, so what we did, this slide here, I guess, is the closest for fleet that we can get to post-COVID. We did have the group go through and take a look, and we are deferring replacement of several vehicles on here based on condition and mileage, which will result in $531,000 in vehicles not being ordered in FY21. So I still need to see where this whole thing is going to land, but we have identified things that we can defer a year. However, in the following fiscal year 22, they will need to be replaced because they'll be in the life extension. But we'll work with the administration and the departments to determine an appropriate level of fleet replacement that's within our budget.
President Shabazz, do you have a question?
Well, I did have a question, but that was my question about which vehicles we could possibly defer because of the COVID. But he answered it with that slide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, discuss the 2.1 budgeted for expenses pertaining to the motor vehicle fleet maintenance contract. Provide vendor name, amount of contract, expiration date, length of contract, and scope of services.
Next slide, please.
Next slide.
All right, so the fleet maintenance program, the fleet maintenance repair services contract was awarded the first vehicle service October 1st of 2017. This is a 5-year agreement with 3 one-year extension options possible. The FY21 annual targeted expense amount is $1.962 million. This contract expires in June 30th of 2025. That includes all of the options that they were granted. Services that they provide include maintaining the fleet inventory, preventive maintenance, emergency repairs, vehicle and equipment repair, vehicle safety and emissions inspections, snow operations, new vehicle inspections, and other fleet-related activities. There's also funding within this line for our AIM Fuel Master fueling system, $12K for annual maintenance agreement, and $50,000 for the purchase of additional 2.4 gigahertz VDM modules for half of the fleet.
Okay. Discuss the $1 million budgeted for motor fuels and lubricants.
Next slide.
Okay, the motor vehicle fuels and lubricants group is made up of unleaded gasoline, 600,000. This is approximately 305,000 gallons based on our actual 12-month usage. Diesel fuel for 400,000, which is approximately 180,000 gallons based on actual 12-month usage. I should point out that our contracts for gasoline and diesel fuel only lock in delivery charges. The price of the products fluctuate based on market conditions, and the costs paid by the city are roughly 42 cents per gallon less than at retail because of our tax exempt status. If you'll bring up the next two slides, it'll give you an idea of what the Eia fuel costs are doing. Obviously, with the lockdown, prices are dropping here below $2 a gallon. I think you're seeing that in retail as well, and diesel prices are doing similar. Again, we don't know how long that will last, so there may be a bit of a windfall there in motor vehicle fuels. We won't know that. Again, as I said, it's based on whatever the spot prices that the vendors are on the day that they pick it up.
So if it does continue for 2 more months, that we should come in under budget then on that line, right?
We should, yes.
Discuss the 925,000 budgeted for non-targeted repairs of city vehicles.
Okay, the non-targeted repairs cover things like accident damage and non-warranty repairs to vehicle and equipment, and then vehicles also that are in life extension. Within that line, we budgeted 925,000 for fiscal 21. What we've experienced over the last year are costs for boat repairs that are now out of warranty and fire apparatus that are in life extension, as well as just a general increase in the cost of fleet repairs. These that are driving this non-target line higher. I put in here our non-targeted actual expenses for fiscal year 18, fiscal 19, and fiscal 20 year to date. We've spent 779,000 already this year and have several months left to go.
Okay. Discuss the planned use of 60,000 budgeted for consultants.
They, in our consulting line, we use one consultant, Mercury Associates, for fleet administration and management assistance. They provide assistance with the monthly internal service chargebacks, the fleet replacement program, and independent verification of the FES fleet maintenance costs.
Discuss the 55,000 budgeted for equipment rental, considering actual expenditures has not exceeded 6,000 in the last 2 years.
Okay. Our equipment rental line is typically used, they're variable costs and they're based on department operational need. Equipment rentals are used for the rental of specialized equipment within the city. With a piece of equipment, say a loader that we have very few of is out of service for an extended period of time, or for rentals of vehicles for a special event. In the past, we've run bucket trucks, front-end loaders, and fire apparatus. So this is essentially used on an as-need basis, hence the low number of expenditures so far.
Okay, we're to our final question, which is their organizational chart, which is much longer than some of the departments we've seen lately, but I think there's 3 pages here that break it down for you.
So the first chart is essentially a general overview of the department, the commissioner, myself, our division directors, and the supervisors that come underneath them. The next slide is the water division. We'll talk more about that on Monday evening's presentation. And then the third org chart slide is a detailed breakdown of the operations division. One of the questions you asked was also about where temps and vacant positions, they are highlighted. I'm not sure if you could see it on the screen here, but in the PowerPoint, they're red. Red would indicate where there's a temp, and a green would indicate where there's a vacancy, as well as the positions are specifically marked.
Okay. All righty. Councilmember Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make a statement. I wanted to thank Commissioner Kelly, Deputy Derrick, and Vince. I don't call on you that often, but when I do call, you're always very responsive. And I like to thank the first responders. I see, you know, the guys doing the trash. I see the men and the women cleaning up, and I always try to give them their just due. So y'all keep up the good work. And I know it's a hard job out there currently, but I really respect your department. Y'all do a great job.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes, and I would like to echo Councilwoman Oliver's sentiments. You know, your team has been doing a great job as first responders. Now, as a follow-up to some questions we had about COVID expenses, are there any thoughts about any kind of permanent changes to the organizational structure given the COVID response? Because I believe probably along with police and fire, public works is hit the most, just in terms of responding to the crisis. Is there any way structurally that your department could change?
You know, that's a really good question, and we are looking at it. I would say my biggest concern during this crisis has been getting the proper PPE for our workers. So it seems like all of the masks and the PPE went to the police and the fire department, and Public Works wasn't necessarily on the forefront of that discussion. I think that we would definitely stock up on a lot of that, just in case something like this were to happen again. Organizationally, I think that we're working pretty well. My biggest concern with respect to how we operate is that the sanitation department does so much work that it's hard to fill those chucker positions with healthy young people. So, I mean, for example, last week we picked up 536 tons, and that's just with a handful of people. So it's hard if somebody's ill or if somebody has to go out for paternity leave or for any other reason. It's really, really hard to fill that spot. You have to be young and strong and be able to walk 8 to 10 miles and lift over 100 pounds, you know, often. So I would like to make a deeper bench, if you will, probably in that area, because if a few people go down, it really could have a very big impact on how much trash is out there on the street.
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Gray.
Yes, first I'd like to thank and compliment the department for the work they're doing, but I'd also like to compliment the department for the response at the beginning of the spring to our streets in the 1st District. I'm very appreciative of the work that was done then. I'd also like to ask a couple questions. One, do you have PPE equipment for the wastewater treatment employees? Has that been budgeted?
We do, but the wastewater treatment plant folks are under the private contractor. They are fully equipped with N95 masks, gloves, face shields.
Okay. And the other question is about the fresh water. Do you see any interruption in the chemicals?
Councilmember Gray, we're going to review the water fund budget on Monday night.
Okay. Thank
We'll have
you.
the other people here to answer all those questions in regards to the water source. Okay. President Shabazz.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. If my speak, okay. You mentioned, Director Kelly, that the trying to find people for like the trash chuckers was difficult to find, and that you also, and I also saw that some of those positions were filled by integrity staffing. And if they're in that same group of staff persons that you are having difficulty getting PPE for, is there any requirement from the staffing companies that we get some of our temporary employees from? Is it our responsibility to provide them with the necessary PPE to do the job, or does that come under the responsibility of the staffing company?
We will provide the PPE, rain gear, whatever we need to apply, to supply for those temp agency employees that we utilize from Integrity.
Okay, I thought that was the case, but I just wanted to get that clear. And so if we are able to build out that part of the division, would that mean we would use less consultants because we would have more full-time employees on it?
You know, in the sanitation department, specifically the chuckers, the temps that we have are really filling positions for people who are out on some sort of long-term leave, like a workers' comp or paternal leave or FMLA. So those positions are actually filled, but those employees are not working for some reason or another. So then we have to bring in temps to you know, to do the actual work and get it done.
Okay, and if I may, Mr. Chair, one more question. I know there was effort for us to install 5G antennas, those first 35 that was proposed to come to the city when we went through the whole registration regulations process. Could you confirm if those 5G have been installed and where they are, and if we have any other applications? Because I know that was a revenue resource for us in getting applications that came in. So I want to know if they have any new applications come through, and if we have installed any of those that were previously applied for, because I know that's a revenue.
Right. Yeah, you're talking about our small cell program that is up and running. We are getting in applications. There's been a couple legal hiccups, you know, just the providers having an issue with, I don't know, insurance or you know, very small things. We have worked a lot of those out, and we expect that the applications will start flowing in. We've gotten a number of requests to put in infrastructure before the small cells go up, so we know that it's on its way.
So is that 5 cell, for the clarity for the public listening, 5 cells, is that the same as 5G?
Yes, exactly. The small cell program is the infrastructure necessary to support to go to 5G. So, you know, the providers get a space on the pole, and then they put in whatever infrastructure is needed to upgrade to 5G. So that process is working itself out, and we expect a very big boom as soon as this COVID crisis is over.
So if I could get clarity, if I may, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, clarity on what your response was, that the ones of those first 35 locations that were applied for, they're the ones that we're having a legal difficulty with, and so those are not up? Or are you saying there are legal issues with new applications? And so if so, are the 35 up and operating?
They are not yet, no. We're still, you know, working out the particulars of that agreement. And it's minute stuff to you and I, but a big deal to the lawyers apparently. So those spots have been applied for and reserved, and we've approved what it looks like. it just came down to a question of liability and insurance and what their lawyers say and what our lawyers say. And so they are not up, but we do expect that they will be up very shortly.
So the few that we see throughout the city are not operable? There's just the box there. Are they operable? Because there are a couple up. Are they operable, or are they just the box there and there's nothing? Because there's one on 4th Street.
Right. Right, it's just the casing. It's not operable yet.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Dixon?
Thank you, Councilman Friel. Just had a quick question around, I know that the general labor price was only $10.10. Is that negotiated strictly by Integrity Staffing?
That just seems to be the rate.
That, yeah,
That's the minimum rate.
That's the minimum rate, correct.
Okay. And then also, just wanted to applaud you guys. I just saw throughout the budget that, you decreased it over $1 million, which is huge. So I wanted to congratulate you guys on that, because that is a lot of hard work in order to do that. So I appreciate seeing that throughout the budget. And know that it's going to change based on where we are with COVID, but I appreciate that, seeing that change throughout. And then, no, that'll be it. I think I'm good, because you guys answered my other questions. So thank you for all the hard work that you've been doing. And I know sanitation has been doing a lot of work, and sorry to hear that you guys don't have all the PPE equipment, and hope that you get that as soon as possible.
Thank you, Councilmember. All right. Is there anyone from the public that wanted to make any kind of comment in regards to the Department of Public Works operating budget? All right. I'm not seeing any. Chief of Staff, did you have a comment before we close out, or?
Yeah, it was just in regards to the PPEs, and I just wanted to let council members know that the city of Wilmington does have an adequate amount of PPEs for all those first responders, including those that are in sanitation, as well as having a back order on securing additional PPEs. So they will not be without PPEs. I just wanted to let everybody know that.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, that concludes our hearing for the Department of Public Works. I appreciate Kelly, Vince, and Derek for being with us and answering all our questions. I'm pleased to announce that we only have one more hearing for this year. Monday night, we'll be meeting May 4th at 4 o'clock, and we will go over our revenue projections for fiscal year 2021, and then we will jump into a presentation on the Water Sewer Fund and our 6-year financial plan, and some questions that we have for the Water Sewer Fund budget. So once again, I thank you folks from Public Works and Planning tonight for being with us and answering all our questions. This concludes this meeting of City Council's Finance and Economic Development Committee. Thank you.